Okay, question 2 on the AQA Germany paper will start off like this. The stem will always be, why might the authors of interpretation A and B have a different interpretation about? And then you'll get the question focus. So here we've got, what was life like for women in Nazi Germany? To answer this question, it tells us we need to use interpretation A and B and your own contextual knowledge. So we need to bring a little bit of our own knowledge of the time period here, but not too much. It's a 4 marker, so about 5 minutes, 1 paragraph. How do we answer this question? Well, we're going to go and use the same interpretations again for this one. So pause the video if you want to have a read and familiarise yourself with those. And the first stage is the planning. So here we want to read the provenance only of both interpretations. Now that's the part that explains the background of the person. I've got it in bold there on the right of the screen. You're not expected to know about the person before the exam, but look at the information they've given you about their backgrounds. Everything is relevant here. Think about the context of their time of writing, where they're writing from, what's their previous experience been, what knowledge have they got, what their beliefs, their circumstances, what information could they access at this time, what's the purpose, who's the audience, what makes them have the viewpoint. You don't talk about all of those things, but just thinking about them will help you pick one. So, interpretation A is clearly a negative view of how the Nazis impacted women. Why might the author have this? So if we look, an American woman called Martha Dodd published in 1939, between 33 to 37, she lived in Berlin with her father, the US ambassador to Germany. She held communist views and was critical of the Nazi regime. Okay, I've just highlighted a few things we've got here. So the fact that she is American means she's come from a place where women weren't necessarily treated like that. There was a little bit more equality. But also the fact she's a communist as well means that she would have felt about equality and that women should be the same as men and it's not fair to treat people this way. What about interpretation B? Well, again, this is a positive view of how the Nazis impacted women this time. It's the opposite. Why is that? Well, the person who created this interpretation attended bridal schools in Germany, which tried to transform young women to be good housewives, so she might have well been indoctrinated, possibly. There's my 2 ideas. We've got this highlighted bits, and again, this should take about 30 seconds. You're going to pick just one of those ideas you're going to write with. So when we get to the writing stage, the first thing you need to do is explain one reason why interpretation A might have a certain view, linking in what we know about the author. So I've written here, interpretation A was written by Martha Dodd, who was an American communist. As a result of her political views, she might have believed in equality for women and that they should have had the same opportunities as men. So there we go. This is what I believe. This is why I think she's got a certain view. And then I've brought in just some factual knowledge of the time period. I've highlighted this in red here. This means you would have been against the Nazi ideas of Kinder, Kirche, or children, kitchen, church, being the only role for women in society, and feel them unfair to women. And then I do the same for interpretation B. Why is there a different view? So interpretation B was written by Dreber, who attended a bridal school in Nazi Germany. This means Dreber might have had a different view to Dodd, and she was possibly indoctrinated by Nazi propaganda to believe the Nazi roles for women, and therefore she would have been supportive of Nazi policies to women. And here we go, I've got it in red, some own knowledge. I know that they were designed to help her become a mother, such as medals for large families. I'm not bringing in too much own knowledge here. I could always go back and add more later on if I wanted to, if I finish the exam quickly. And then finally, just a concluding sentence, just to sum up the arguments. Overall, one reason the interpretations might differ about what life was like for women in Nazi Germany is because of the background of the authors and their political views. That's what I've written about here. One of them was a communist who believed in equality and would have hated the idea of women being treated this way. The other one was under the Nazi regime and would have been indoctrinated, and so their political views would have accepted this was the role for women back then. This is what the answer looks like in full. It's not too much writing there. Just to remember a few things here. First of all, you're not expected to know about these individuals who created the interpretations. You're doing a bit of detective work here, just having an educated guess why they might have different views. And so words like might, possible, etc. are good in this answer. And I've highlighted some of those in red there. I've just put the word might in as often. And the question also asks for your own knowledge of the time period. Make it really obvious to your examiner where that's coming from. So you can see I've highlighted the phrase, I know that, to show where I'm bringing my own knowledge in. Make sure it is your own knowledge as well. Please do not steal knowledge from the interpretation and claim it as your own, because the examiner will know what the interpretation says. Bring in some precise own knowledge from outside, just a sentence or two, just so you've understood the time period well. Again, 5 minutes worth of writing, about 10 lines in total, and it's written down. Do not use all the space and focus on the provenance. I'm not mentioning content here at all, it's just these individuals.